Good morning. It is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. I'm back here for Daily Shakeup number 515. And today we're talking about a topic that probably will excite you, at least initially, and that is courage, courageousness, being courageous, being seen as courageous. Those words, my guess is, as soon as you heard them, started to inspire you. You started to think of other people that you find to be courageous, because courage is a good thing, right? Courage is something we want to be known for. Or do we? Do we really? Because the reality of courage is that courage only exists because of the reality of fear. Think about that. If you're not afraid, then whatever it is you do can't be courageous, because courageous somehow ties to overcome, moving past, moving through our fear. And maybe that's why we tend to see others as courageous and less so ourselves. Perhaps it's because we think about courage as something that's just not in us, or maybe we're just hesitant to acknowledge that we have fears. And I think that's more the truth. You see, we're all afraid at various times in our lives, in big ways and in small ways. And courage is simply that act of moving forward despite our fears. So maybe that's the connection, this connection between fear and courage, that keeps us from seeing our own courage. But we see it in others because it doesn't require vulnerability to see courage in others, but it does require vulnerability in order to see the courage in ourselves. You see, if you're courageous, then you must also be afraid, because you can't act or be courageous without the presence of fear. And this is one of those critical elements of vulnerability and leadership, admitting first to ourselves and even better to others that we experience fear, which then opens the door to demonstrating courage by moving forward despite those fears. Contrary to what the movies show us, courage is not about the big things that would terrify all of us. Courage about the small steps we take every day despite our fears, whether those fears are acknowledged or not. And I would say leadership itself is an act of courage, because choosing to lead, and make no mistake, it is a choice, exposes you to all forms of uncertainty and risk. I got to be honest, I don't want a leader who claims to be fearless. I want a leader who knows themselves well enough to feel the fear and do it anyway. Because the bottom line is, if you want to be a courageous leader, you first have to acknowledge your fears. And perhaps that's the most terrifying thing of all, the giant vulnerability of all, to acknowledge our fears and then move forward despite those fears. That's it for today. Keep taking care of yourself and everyone around you. By all means, stay connected.